My dear brothers and sisters, today the liturgy of the word, in a eschatological sense, helps us to reflect how the fear of the Lord can lead us to be productive in our life. My dear brothers, seeing the world around, we easily judge that there is no fear of God. Nobody is fearing for God. But then, if you observe and analyze seriously, we can find in every person, the first moral teaching takes place based on fear of God. Parents, our teacher, our relatives, they impart good values, saying that God will punish you if you don't do this, if you don't keep up these good values and virtues in your life. Yes, my dear brothers, as we mature and grow in our understanding, we try to push this fear of God to our domain of unconscious mind. But whenever we practice some good values, some good virtues, this fear of the Lord from our subconscious mind is begin to operate. In related to today's liturgy of the word, we are called to bring and raise it to our consciousness, this fear of the Lord. Thus it can result a great productivity in our life. Dear brothers, today's first reading from the book of Proverbs, the author appreciates so much about women, especially the wife. The author says she is so productive in her life. In this context, productive means what she contributes to the well-being of their family, their relatives, and the poor people and the needy in the society. Here, what she can gain for herself, like charmness, beauty, they are considered to be deceptive and vanity by the author. The author beautifully says, all her productivity in her life is a result of her fear for God. And the fear of God is referred as wisdom. There is one common word found both in first reading and the gospel, that is fear. But in the first reading, the fear results productivity. She is appreciated. But whereas fear in the gospel brings a disaster, the third servant who portrays the fear is judged to be to eternal punishment. Why this same word has two different meanings? Let us reflect. Actually, in the first reading, fear of the Lord, from the book of Proverbs chapter 9 verse 10 we read, fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. And today's responsorial Psalm 128, it is said that blessed are those who fear the Lord and walk in His ways. Here, fear of the Lord and walk in His ways both refer to the command, the law of the Lord. And the Old Testament, they consider God as a great king, and who protects them, saves them, and keeps them from all danger. And they portray some kind of fear towards their God. And their relationship to God is measured by their observance of the law. And in this context, the fear has some kind of relevance and meaning. But whereas in New Testament, especially in the teaching of Jesus, Jesus says that God is our Abba. Abba means He's a daddy. He's very close to us. The complicated laws are simplified into two, that is, love of God and love of neighbor. And the Gospel of Luke chapter 15, we find the parable of lost sheep and the parable of prodigal son, where our relationship to God is not measured by our observance of the law, but then it is based upon God's love and mercy. We are not worthy to receive God's relationship, but we remain in His relationship because God is loving us, God is merciful to us. And in this context, fear has no meaning, fear has no relevance. Thus, the third servant gets punishment result of his fear. Dear brothers, when we reflect today's gospel, I would like to focus on the third servant. Today's gospel is about the parable of talent. Here, the talent does not refer to the skills that we have. It is a huge amount of money. The translator of NRSV Bible gave a footnote under the parable that talent is value worth more than the wage given to a laborer for his 15 years of labor. So, when the third servant is given only one talent, should not misunderstand it is a less value. It has huge value of great wealth. But then the third servant, he dug and buried the talent. Here, why he is punished? Because the talent is a gift given by the master to the servant. And he removes the gift from the gift mode. That means the other two servants, when they receive, they go and invest in business. Whereas this man, he buries it. In a simple language, the money has exchange value. We use it for buying and selling something. But when we use this out of its purpose, the material has no value and we misuse it. This man, the third servant, does the same. He actually misuses the gift by burying it. It has no value when it is buried unless it is brought into the gift mode again. And this third servant, by burying, he also goes against the plan of God, because every creation has its own purpose. When we use it out of its purpose, then we go against the plan of God. That's what the mistake done by the third servant, for which he deserves punishment. In our day-to-day life too, we see a lot of inequality in the society based on economy. There are a lot of poor people in our society. On the contrary, there is huge increasement of black money in Swiss bank. Why? It is because there are many people trying to behave like the third servant. They are trying to exploit the poor people and to improve their life. They are like unproductive in their life because they have the money that they hide in Swiss bank has no value for them as well as for the other. It is against the plan of God. And the punishment given to the third servant is a great warning for those who do such an act, that they too will receive great punishment in their life. And another action done by the third servant is his response to the master. If you analyze and see the response of the third servant, his answer seems to be an expression of his fear. But if you analyze, it is not so. He is trying to blame his master. Which servant will have courage to blame his master? Because if you read the words, he says that you are very harsh man and you gather where you don't scatter the seed. It is an expression of blaming the other. He says the master is so strict. But then, on the contrary, if you read the gospel, the master is so generous. The master on his return did not collect back the talents that was given. Rather, he encourages them and he gives them much more privilege. And what he collected from the third servant also, he did not keep it with himself, but he gives to the another who is worthy to receive it. So the gospel portrays that the master is so generous, but the third servant blames the master that you are very strict. In our day-to-day life too, brothers, we are also busily engage ourselves in blaming others, judging others, and in gossip. What does it result for us? Is an act of entertainment? No. In our every act of blaming other, we too, like the third servant, try to justify our own mistakes. When we judge others that you are not right, indirectly we affirm that I am keeping up the law, I am right person, listen to me. This is what is happening at the background. By our judgment of the other or the blaming of other, we never try to construct the life of other, rather we destroy. It has no meaning for them. Our judgment only destroys them, it brings them down, it destroys their confidence, etc. Dear brothers, the greatest gift of the Lord is the Eucharist, which we are receiving. And St. Paul beautifully says in today's second reading, he compares the eschatological time with thief and the pregnant woman. Although we advance in our technology, they try to predict the delivery date of a pregnant woman, but it is mostly uncertain. It shows that they are unpredictable in nature. That is how the second coming of Jesus too is unpredictable. It demands us to be prepared always. And St. Paul makes a contrast between people of light and people of darkness. He says that people of light are those who live in Christ. They are very productive, that they improve the life of others. But whereas the people of darkness, they are far away from Jesus. In the context of gospel, the people of light can be compared to the two servants who invested the money in business, and they are very productive. But the people of darkness can be compared to the third servant who is unproductive in life. He deserves only punishment. That's how, brothers, let us examine the greatest. The Lord has given us various gifts, talents, and opportunities. For all we use our talents, it can multiply our talents and improve the life of the other. Are we using the talents properly?